You learn how to live with the pain.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you for a fact right now, I will still grieve about it. I will still cry about it at some point. Something will happen that will still remind me of a very core moment in that relationship. And it will hurt. It will hit home.
How did you move on from that, from the shared routines? Because, more often than not, people just tell you, move on. Go on with your life.
But people don't really understand that the life that I have still revolves around them. And I remember I shared this on my platform earlier in January when I was saying, I shared like 7 habits to take up when you're trying to move on from a very long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And I said, and I remember the first thing that point 1 was, replace your routines with other things. You will have to.
Yeah.
The things you used to do together, don't do it.
Do you think it's okay for someone to get under someone, to get over someone? Can I do that?
I personally don't believe in that. I don't believe in, you talk about rebound.
Yes.
I don't believe in rebounding. I feel like it's a societal thing that we've made so normal, which is wrong, because you know very well the rebound that you're having. Like, it's a give or take situation.
Yeah.
Because you're still not doing the work.
How do I move on and learn to trust myself after a truly bad experience with love?
That really takes time to really trust yourself and to put in the work to really understand the boundaries that need to be set.
What's up, lovely human beings? Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Melvin on Cloud Stories Africa. Now, over the last 1 month, we've been having conversations around love, around self-love, loving on your friends. And today, we continue that conversation. But before we even get to the conversation, I just want to say a big thank you to you guys for engaging with us on TikTok, Instagram, giving us your feedback around the conversations that we've been having. And most importantly, for sharing with us the core and the basis for today's episode, because for most of you, it's been, I'm willing to love. I'm willing to put myself out there into the world, but it gets to a point where love hurts you. What do you do when you get to a place where you're giving love, but you're not getting love back, or the love that you're getting back is not the kind of love that you want? And so today, we're having a conversation around healing. More so healing from romantic relationships, to make you understand that it's not your fault. Sometimes love is going to put you in uncomfortable places. And today, the fact that you're watching this conversation, it just shows me that you're willing to grow. It just shows me that you're willing to embrace all the feelings and all the emotions that came with a particular breakup, that came with a particular relationship, and be willing to move forward with clarity. And so today, even before I introduce the guest and we get into the conversation, allow me to validate you if you're feeling invalidated, because you're not crazy. The things that you're experiencing, they're not out of this world. I've really sat down with this concept because I really struggle with these kinds of conversations. I've mentioned that before on the podcast, that I struggle sometimes to show empathy. I struggle to have conversations around love. And it's because of the way my brain has been wired for the longest time. But I've sat down with research. I've sat down and reflected on my past relationships. And the reality is, you're not crazy. The pain that you're feeling, there's validation to that. The reason as to why you're feeling such intense, acute pain is because the pain that comes from heartbreak, the pain that comes from losing someone, it can be attributed to actual physical pain, because the neuroreceptors in our brain that process heartbreak pain, pain from breakups, are the same receptors that process physical pain. And let me tell you, if you're feeling like you're withdrawing, the amount of pain that, or rather the attributes that come with a breakup can be attributed to drug withdrawal. So if you're not sleeping at night, if you're finding yourself getting obsessed with that person, or if you're just feeling like physically ill and you're just in bed for 3 days straight in the same underwear, trust me, I give you validation. You are allowed to feel these things because the same emotions, the same kind of pain that is experienced is what is happening to you when you're going through a heartbreak. So this is to anyone out there who's experiencing heartbreak, whether currently, whether you're healing from a relationship and you feel like you're not yet there, and even to future heartbreaks, because today's conversations are going to put us in a place where we're not just embracing the heartbreaks, but we're embracing the future version of ourselves where we're open to love, we're secure in our love. And so with me in studio is an absolutely incredible, amazing human being, Shawn.
Hello.
Welcome to Cloud Stories Africa.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
I've been interacting with your work for the last 1 month, and it's been absolutely mind-blowing. The level of discipline, the work ethic, the efforts that you put into your craft is incredible.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to have more conversations with you.
Definitely.
Yes.
We need to know, we need to see where we're building empires.
Clock it.
Talk to me.
But today's conversation is around heartbreaks.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first heartbreak and what did it revolve around?
First heartbreak. I was
Yes.
16. I was in high school.
16.
I was... it was just kiddie stuff. We were in high school.
Yeah.
I can't remember what was happening, but there was a rumor that went around, and all of a sudden, relationship kaput, and but it wasn't necessarily such a big thing because I was a child back then. I was still growing back then, but it was there. It was when I was 16. I remember
that is so early.
Yeah.
What did you feel?
I think I didn't leave my bed for about a week. We had just come out from holiday and it felt like as if... So I'm asthmatic. I remember I kept on getting asthma attacks at night. Oh my God, it used to... When I look at it, when I remember right now, I'm like, damn, that was me? Oh,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know, they say asthma is for rich people, so...
Oh, damn. Okay.
Maybe it was preparing you for,
Till grow.
No. But, okay, so then, if that was your first heartbreak, how did it relate to your most intense and the heartbreak that you can still feel and relate to even up to date? Or if you healed, how did that relate to that particular heartbreak? Like, what was the next heartbreak that you can remember that was intense? And the reason I'm asking this question is just because our first heartbreak is not necessarily the most intense or the one that we feel the most. So what was the next heartbreak that was, it left an impact to you?
So the next heartbreak that left a very big impact in my life was recently when was my first love, and it was a very intense and fulfilling relationship. I felt I was home. I was where I was meant to be. Everything felt right. Then when the relationship ended, I felt like a part of my life has been taken away from me without my consent.
Okay.
Because never in a million years did I ever think that relationship would come to an end.
Yeah.
It was never in my plan, my thoughts, and it was so weird because I am such an overthinker. I always look at scenarios way ahead.
Yes.
I will always be, what if this happens?
Do a pre-mortem and a
Yes, I
post-mortem.
will always do a pre-mortem and a post-mortem of every situation I get myself into. And for the first time in my life, this one I didn't. I was all in, 2 feet in, deep end. I was in love. I was doing everything. And I did not brace myself for the impact. And when the impact happened, the impact was big and the blow was huge. And it really dismantled my life because I had really grounded myself in that relationship.
Yeah.
That's where my footing was. And maybe that was a mistake on my part. But that's where my footing was in motivation, in striving for success. I was striving for success in the notion of I'm building a life for me and my partner. And very many other things around my life revolved around that relationship.
Yeah.
And I was so firm in it. And it became a foundation for my current life and the life that I wanted to build for my future.
Yeah.
So when the relationship ended, you can imagine it's like a house. Then you dismantle the foundation of it. The house no longer, exactly.
Yeah.
So I really had to learn how to build myself and my life from scratch. And it was hard. It was hectic. It's been hectic. It's taken a lot of me to really come together and piece myself back together and remind myself that, Shawn, who you are is not based off someone else's validation, and what you're trying to build is much bigger than any other person who comes into your life.
There's something that you've said just there. Looking back, do you think it's a mistake to go into love full head on, Because you just said that maybe it was a mistake on your end, that you never prepared for the break. But that also puts me in a position where I'm like, should someone go into love anticipating that it could end? Or how do you actually separate that in the sense that I can go into love anticipating everything that is good, but also cushioning myself?
So I'll say it this way. When you buy a car, you get insurance. You don't get insurance because you want to get an accident. Do you?
That one has.
Exactly. Where every single year you renew your medical insurance. You don't renew your medical insurance because you want to get sick.
Yeah.
It's because you're preparing yourself for the impact.
I've never looked at it like that.
Same thing. When you're buying house insurance, it's not because you want your house to catch fire or floods. It's because you're preparing for the impact. So same thing in relationships.
Do you think we've never looked at it like that just because we're dealing with emotions and
Exactly.
people?
It's because you're dealing with people, not even emotions. You're dealing with people. Because in these other things, you're dealing with things.
Yeah.
And it's because, and I think we really need to look at it in that manner. When you're driving a car, you can actually control that fact. You can try avoid accidents as much as there are other drivers on the road, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But you can try avoid it. Even you yourself, you can try avoid getting sick. You can take care of yourself in such a manner that you don't get sick. Your house, your things, your phone, you get insurance because there are other ulterior factors that can come in that are beyond your control. Why do we assume you can control another human being? Why do we get into relationships assuming that you can control that outcome, that you can control the impact? Why do we do that? And it's the same conversation. Yeah, it's a human nature that you expect another human being not to hurt you.
Yes.
But why do we do that? Exactly.
And I love what you were just about to say, that, it's just the fact that we're human and the fact that, these cushions are not just for us, they're also for them. Because when we love, when we're self-aware, when we know our triggers, then we're also making the other person better in the sense that when I see certain behaviors, I can correct them. I can address them. Yeah. Okay. So there's something that you also mentioned around, just this breakup being so overwhelming. And I can think of it from a state of, you're not just losing the person. You are losing the version of yourself that you were with this person.
Yes.
It's about the shared routines.
Yes.
It's about the same shared interests. It's about the same social circles. And so when you got to the point where now the relationship has come to an end, how did you move on from that, from the shared routines? Because, more often than not, people just tell you, move on. Go on with your life.
But people don't really understand that the life that I have still revolves around them. And I remember I shared this on my platform earlier in January when I was saying, I shared like 7 habits to take up when you're trying to move on from a very long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And I said, and I remember the first thing that point 1 was, replace your routines with other things. You will have to.
Yeah.
The things you used to do together, don't do it. the food you used to eat together. Because for the whole 4 months in between the breakup,
Yeah.
I could not order or drink passion juice in any restaurant.
Yeah.
Because the moment I would drink it, I would remember all the dates we have ever been on. We only drank passion juice. All the restaurants we went, there's some restaurants I could not go into because the moment I enter the restaurant, I remember. There are some things I could not do. I remember, and this was very funny, my mom made fun of me. I could not sleep on my bed for 2 months because the entire room resembled them. My bed sheet still smells like them, every single thing. So it's that thing of remove yourselves from situations that remind you of them for a temporary short period of time for your brain to rewire.
How long? How long is...
So for different, I feel like for different people, it takes a different amount of time. For me, I'd say it really took long considering I'm young as well. And like I said, this was the first time I was 100% adult in love.
Yeah.
And I did not view any other person being in my life but them. At no particular point. I mean, I dated this person when I was 19, 20. I envisioned the next 20, 30 years of my life with not anybody else.
Yeah.
So for me, it was harder because I really had to now go back to factory reset and really remind myself and tell myself that life can move on without this person being there. I really had moments where I felt like life had no meaning, life had no purpose. Because like I said, I really rooted my motivation, my grit, my purpose, everything that I was doing around this relationship because I was really gurning in the life that we would build together. So it really took a lot of work on myself to remind myself. And I had to put other motivational factors.
Shawn, that is... I'm glad that you're saying that, but that is harder said than done.
Yes, I know.
Because you're going to see their pictures on social media. Do you unfollow them? You're going to see pictures of yourself with them. You're going to see pictures of them with their family, pictures of them with their new girlfriend.
I blocked. I didn't delete photos. I put them in an album and then I locked the album. I archived the chats because you really need to create a space and an environment that revolves around you at that moment. Because and I like the fact that you were talking about your neurons. The thing about love and relationships and when you're in love, it's like a drug. Love is an emotional drug that you get. When you're in love, there's some certain high that you get from it. And that is why you will, when you see something funny, the first person you want to send it to is them.
And that's
it's not necessarily because you want to.
Yeah.
It's how your brain is already wired to and how your body is wired to. I'll see something funny, I'll send my partner. I'll want to say a joke, I'll send my partner.
Yeah.
I want to celebrate something, I'll call my partner.
Yes.
It's a neuron thing. It's how you've already set your body in that routine. So you have to unlearn that routine. And the only way to do that is removing them out of the center of your life and putting yourself in. So if it's dates, go by yourself. If it's do it. And then also make use of your friends. I really made use of my friends in the last 3 to 4 months where we would go out for movies, for dates, for this. And even especially in key dates, like let's say what would have been our anniversaries. Those days, my friends were there, my mom was there, my siblings were there to really cover through those days because they also understood that on this particular day, it was the anniversary. It will hit harder.
Yes.
And even like, for example, my assistant knew that. My assistant knew on this particular day, the boss is not kuna
He'll be
venye,
salty.
he'll be a little bit salty. You guys, so also cultivate a community and an environment that is conducive for your growth in that manner. Don't really take it up upon yourself to say, I'll get through this breakup alone. I'll only do it alone. No.
I'm glad that you said that, and allow me to interject with a hard question right there. What if the environment is the same? What if I decided to, please allow me to use my French here, become stupid and date my coworker? Sometimes it's inevitable, but the environment, you're still seeing this person almost every day. You're in an environment where your social circles are the same, or rather your environments are the same in the sense that it's inevitable for you not to see them. How do you deal with something like that? Because, it's easier when they are 1,000 miles away. There's the distance, but then there's the situation also where I'm seeing this person every day. How do you deal with such a situation? How do you distance, or how do you rewire your environment to now meet where you are in life? Because again, you said you couldn't sleep in your bed. Your bed is in your home. Your bed is in your home. You can change the sheets. You can even change the bed itself, but you can't change your room. So how do you deal with inevitabilities when it comes to breakups?
I feel like that now brings in the question of, do you have the capacity to grow and be mature with each other in the same space? You have to ask yourself that question, because life has to move on. I will not resign from my job because you decided to be a douchebag in the relationship and the relationship ended.
Yeah.
I'm not going to resign from my job for that. So it also brings about the level of maturity. Do you have the capacity, and are you mature enough to be in the same room and do what is needed of us
Without contact. Yeah.
And just
they have
just
to
be
exist
cordial.
without existing.
Yes, just exist in a very cordial manner. And I get that, because even, for example, I'll give a more or less childish example. When we were in high school or even primary, whatever, you dated someone in class, then you broke up, and you had to find a way to coexist in that classroom, because exams are around the corner. You have to figure out a way to study. You have to figure, and those things, and as much as they were very small, tiny things back in school, they still play an effect in now the example that you've given.
Yeah,
exactly. So how did we used to do them when we were back in school? You had to figure out a way, because you had to do those exams. You had to pass. You had to figure it out. So same thing. Are you mature enough? And now the fact that you're adults, you need to have the maturity and the capacity to really separate the two. That I'm growing as an individual outside the relationship that we had. But we need to learn how to coexist with each other beyond that.
So I'm grateful that you said that, and the fact that you put maturity in there, because I feel like everything starts and ends with you picking up maturity.
Definitely.
And you deciding that, because I feel like there's always two sides to a coin. And the way you decide to view it is based on your level of maturity.
Yes.
Now, there's a friend of mine. The partner broke up with them. The guy was married, never told her. So
Damn.
I won't share her name, but I'll just share her story. So the guy was married, left her, and now, it was trying to figure out life without this person. And one day she was just telling me a story. She got into the matatu and it just got overwhelming. A scent came by and it just got overwhelming. So she just started crying. She's just in the matatu leaning on the window, crying all the way to work. And then, one of the... Of course, Kenyan culture, dondas, the people who collect money when you board a taxi, I think for other cultures, when you board a taxi. And the donda is like, what happened? What happened? And she's like, someone died.
I love that.
She was like,
I love that.
Someone died. But this was such a hard day for her, because you're not just, it's different when you're failing within the comfort of your home. And it's different when now life has to move on, when there's things to do, when there's work and team members to handle, and you just can't go being salty with everyone just because you're having a bad day. Your manager won't understand the fact that your boyfriend left and this is why you're crying. And I also love the part where she says someone died, because breakups can be compared to grief, honestly.
It is.
Yes.
You're grieving someone who's still alive.
Yes.
Yeah. And
But
you're grieving yourself.
Yeah, you are. No, truly you are, because there's a version of yourself that's gone. But how do you deal with those hard days when life still needs to move on, but you're still experiencing the emotions and the pain that comes with that particular breakup?
I think from my experience, I really had to ask myself tough questions and this is something that I always do every single new month. When it's first of every month, I ask myself one question. Everything that I have in my life at the moment, everything that I'm doing at the moment in my life, if it's to remain exactly the way they are in the following month, will I be happy? Will I be sad? Will I feel fulfilled? Will I feel like a failure? Those are the questions I ask myself. So even when I was deciding to leave the relationship, I asked myself the same question.
Yeah.
If this relationship is to remain exactly as it is, and for the next 1 month, will I be happy or will I be sad? Will I be content or will I feel like a failure? And I had my answer. I did not want my relationship to be exactly as it is. And the fact that I knew that it will be exactly as it is, I left. So bringing that back now to what you've asked, life has to move on. So you need to look at the bigger picture of things, in the sense of, yes, it's easier said than done, where the pain goes, blah, blah, blah. Yes, it does go. We all know it goes.
Yes.
Eventually, it subsides. But it doesn't go away. You learn how to live with it. That's the thing. You learn how to live with the pain.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you for a fact right now, I will still grieve about it. I will still cry about it at some point. Something will happen that will still remind me of a very core moment in that relationship. And it will hurt. It will hit home. Not because I've not moved on. Not because I'm still hanging on to the past. No. But it's because pain of love, pain of losing someone that you loved, you learn how to live with it. And like you said, it's the same thing around losing someone who has died.
Yeah.
You grieve that person and the person you are with them. So life has to move on. So you really need to prioritize what's in need here, and really carve out time for grieving. And also I feel like at some point I really wanted to deny the fact that I was in pain. I really tried to, I'm okay. Life moves on. I have work to do. My life is okay. But I have a company. I have a family. Life is going good for me. I convinced myself of everything. I even added, I used to work not just 8 hours, I used to work 15 hours a day. I was like, I even have more free time to myself. I would go for swimming. I'd go for skating. But then I started myself and I'm like, I'm still hurt.
But that's what society has taught us, right? That
you need to feel, you can't feel that void.
Yeah.
You need to feel it and really live through it. You need to live through that pain.
Yeah. That is so deep. Because the way society has taught us is just move on. Pack your bags.
So, Una, move on. How are you moving on?
That's the thing.
How are you moving on?
How are you moving on?
Yes. How are you moving on?
Because the pain is real.
Yeah.
You're feeling it deep inside. You're really, really feeling it. So, I love that you said that. It's not just about packing bags and going. It's about embracing the pain. Because the other thing that can be quite surreal about heartbreaks is wanting to skip over those bits. Skipping the work and just moving on to the next person, or getting emotional crutches that get you through that particular difficult time. So let me actually ask you a random question. Do you think it's okay for someone to get under someone, to get over someone? Can I do that?
I personally don't believe in that. I don't believe in, you talk about rebound.
Yes.
I don't believe in rebounding. I feel like it's it's a societal thing that we've made so normal, which is wrong, because you know very well the rebound that you're having. Like, it's a give or take situation.
Yeah.
Because you're still not doing the work. I feel like you're also neglecting a piece of yourself.
But you know, the work is so hard, Shawn. The work is so hard.
You gotta do it, man. You gotta do it. You just gotta do it.
It's just better for me to sleep with someone else and get it over and done with.
And do you actually move on?
That's the thing.
You still come back to square one. It's like in short, it's like you are an addict, then you go to rehab, then you come out of rehab, and then you think that you've already healed and you're okay, that you're not an addict, and then you go back to drinking, or you switch it with another drug. So if you are an addict of alcohol and then you start doing weed, okay, what have you done? Like, explain to me.
But can't I do just kidogo?
I feel like it's neglecting the growth that you really need to do with yourself, because you're also not going into the, and like you said, you're only there because you need the sexual pleasure. You're only there because you want to get the release. You want to get the sexual high and get over it. Of which it doesn't work that way when you're in love. Like, you can be in love with someone and sex not even be importance in that relationship, because love on its own is not a physical thing. Love is a very intimate thing that can happen without sex. So you're replacing something so emotional with something physical,
superficial.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, that doesn't necessarily
What about
work.
other emotional crutches? Can I hold on to those for just a short period of time? Like, can I take up drinking? Can I,
same thing. You are trying to put.
And the reason I'm asking these questions, remember, we're speaking to a bigger audience. My partner leaves me. The only consolation I have is, can I just drink for tonight? Just tonight, like to just stop feeling this pain for tonight. That's why that question is so key to me, because again, you said there requires a lot of emotional maturity, but the maturity is not coming today. It's not coming when I'm hurt.
The maturity is not coming today. Is real. It's real. I could that maturity is not for today. It can come tomorrow.
Yes. So what about all those other emotional crutches? Can I just smoke weed just for today? Can I drink just for today? Can I go party with my friends and sleep with that one random guy in the club? What happens when I decide to do that? And at what point do I now call it quits?
So I'll just take it back to what I said. Growth is really necessary for every person. And from where I'm standing, using it's called a band-aid. It's like putting bandage over something over and over and over again, and not really doing the work that is needed. You will still circle back to where you need to start from. You can imagine you're out of a very long-term relationship sometime in August, and you're using drugs and sex and all those whatnots, partying, to really cover up your pain and not feel it. It eventually gets you. That's the other thing. You're also adding more. You're adding fire. You're adding what's it called? You're moving from the
habits. Actually, what you're doing is you're creating new habits
you're creating
in your life.
new habits. But what I'm trying to get at is what you had to go through was a breakup. Now you have to go through the breakup plus an addiction of these drugs, and also maybe an addiction to sex, which becomes a whole new thing. You get, so why when you're looking at the bigger picture, and I'm someone who always tells people, don't look at now, look at 3 months from now. Where do you want to be? You want to have healed from that relationship 3 months from now, you better start doing the work now. You want to have healed in 6 months from now, you better start healing now. Never look at your life on only just the what you have on face value.
Myopia.
Always look at what you want in 6 months, in 1 year, and look at what is really required of you to get there. So if your end goal is healing from that relationship, just do the work. It's harder, it's hard, it is time consuming, it is painful, but trust you me, it is way harder 6 months down the line, when it is also piled with regret, piled with self-blame, piled with a lot of other addictions that comes with it, rather than just do the work. Just really do the work. Put in the work. Watch as many podcasts as you want. Go to therapy as many hours as you want. Talk to friends. Cry about it. Scream about it. But genuinely just do the work, because it's really required of you. Because you want to sit back 6 months down the line and say, I've healed from that relationship. And you can't do that by covering it up with other things.
Okay, so I'm going to get to the bit around doing the work. But before I even do that, allow me to just summarize that with, when you have emotional crutches, they create codependencies. And now 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, you have double the work to do. You're getting over the heartbreak, and you're also getting over an alcohol addiction. And so all you have to yourself is, now you have double the amount of work that you could have done to now do 6 months later. Because all these things, they always catch up with you. If you don't put in the work, it will always catch up with you. It will always catch up with you. And that's why this next segment is so key, because how do you now not really move on, I don't want to say move on, but when the accountability starts, when you start taking ownership, when you say that there's things that they did and there are things that I did, and I need to take accountability of my end of the deal, because so often than not, people are constantly seeking closure. But in my personal perspective, I don't think there's anything like closure from the other party. The closure lies within you. The closure lies within you. And so sometimes that work can be so consuming. It can get lonely, because I always tell myself that loneliness is the gap between your desired connections and the connections that you currently have. I love what you said before around setting up a community, family, friends, people who support you through this time. But sometimes you can also have the friends and the family, but they're not filling the void that this person left within you. And so what does the actual work look like? Is it self-reflection? Is it taking up, or rather what worked for you? Because this is also from your perspective, what worked for you? Was it going to the gym? Because I remember when I experienced a heartbreak some time back, I used to gym, I used to run, guys, I became fit.
But you see, that is replacing it with a good habit. Going to the gym is a good habit. You're starting new habits that actually fuel you, not take away from you.
And so how does that work look like? Because what I want us to do here today is to put together a playbook that, if I'm going through heartbreak, what are the actual steps that I can take to not just get myself to a point where I'm over this relationship, but to a point where I'm willing to love and take on new relationships with openness, with self-awareness. What does the actual work look like?
I feel like calling it a playbook is a little bit, it's like putting everyone in the same group, because there are people who are married, there are people who have been in relationships for like 10 years and they didn't work out. There are people who are still figuring out life. There are younger people, there are older people, and different circumstances play a part. Different reasons as to why relationships don't work. We have people who just genuinely, it didn't work out. The people who are cheated on, the people who are lied to. So there are different ways of going through those particular breakups. When someone cheated on you, that's disloyalty. When someone lied to you, that's trust. When someone dated you for 10 years, that's insecurity. When there's marriage involved, there are different things that play a part. So it also really depends on where you're at and who you are and what has happened to you. Because how to go through it is different. And I believe no one should necessarily tell you how to go through it. Yes, there are those particular things that are don'ts. Don't reach back out to them. Don't beg. Don't cry. Don't. There are those that you really need to not do for you to protect your peace and your self-dignity. But there are those particular things that, like, there are people who genuinely. Yes, I don't believe in getting closure from the person. Them leaving was enough closure.
Yes.
But there are those particular people who generally they just need answers to most of their questions. Especially people who are cheated on. They need answers. Was I enough? Did I do something?
How do you get those answers when, let's say, the other party is not responding to you? Now, suddenly you're looking at their social media and their new girlfriend, their new boyfriend is over there flaunting, they're having this whole other life that is without you. So how do I get those answers when the other person is not willing to meet me in the middle and give me those answers?
I think that then that just brings about the context of knowing, really reinvesting back into your worth. And once when you're doing the work to really remember what you're worth, how you're worthy of love, and what you deserve, you really get into a space where you are secure in the validation that you give yourself. And I think that is also the same point where I was in January, where I was very, I feel like I'm very secure in who I am, and very secure in the answers that I gave myself, because I knew I'm never going to get those answers. So I'm not even going to expect it or wait for it. And it really helped to put my life and so many things into perspective, where I really had to be rigorously intentional in moving on and healing without answers to the questions. Because I had to remember that I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of XYZ, for me not to feel like I needed the validation from the other person.
So what I hear you saying is that it's not one shoe fits all. And that what worked for me will not necessarily work for you. Mine could have been going to the gym. Yours could have been journaling.
Exactly.
Someone else's could be therapy, and based on the intensity, because again, just as you said, the breakups from, or rather a divorce, is going to look very different from a 20-year-old that, maybe it was a 2 months relationship, a 4 months relationships. Even a long-term relationship is going to look very different from an emotional betrayal. So it's not just that this is what worked for me and so it's going to work for you. It's just about finding what works for you and employing that to your life. Is there a timeline for which I need to employ these methods before I can say I've started, living my life to some normalcy, if I can put it like that? Because, and the reason I'm asking this is because I've seen friends, and I'm going to use the reference for 90-day challenges, 100-day challenges, 365-day challenges. And just let me move away from the conversation around love to give it context. You could be doing a 90-day challenge for you to learn how to write better, for you to become more creative, for you to interact with, you could decide that I'm doing a 90-day challenge where I'll do a video every day so that I get better at public speaking. And I've seen friends who doing challenges around, 365 days. I have a friend who paints every day.
Wow.
And she did it every day for 365 days. Yes. And I've done 100-day challenges. But I've also seen the reverse of the scenario where after the 100 days, I revert back to my old habits. I've seen friends who've done 90-day challenges just to prove a point. And then after the 90 days,
they're back to what they normally
to their
do.
habits. So you see, just as you're saying, maybe you've been stalking them and now you're like, for the next 30 days, I will not stalk this person. I will not look at their social media. But then 30 days later, you're back to the same point where you were. So is there a timeline to which I can say that now my life is normal and I can move on with life as was without...
I'll take you back to what I said of you need to learn how to live with the pain. I feel like as human beings, we really try as much as possible to let's say, for example, you're having a tummy ache. There's nothing in this world at that particular moment you'll want but that tummy ache to go.
Yes.
If it is a headache, if it is cramps, if it is, you will just want
for the pain
for the pain to go.
Because it causes me discomfort.
Thank you.
It causes me discomfort.
But when it comes to, and it's normal as human beings to just want the pain to go.
Yeah.
We are wired that way. But when it comes to love and breakups, you really need to understand that it takes a while to evolve through it and move through, and you need you really need to feel it.
Yeah.
And you're never gonna, and I don't think I will be at that point where it's gonna be my aha moment of, okay, now my life is back to normal. Okay, now I can pick up from where I left off. Girl, there's no picking up from where you left off.
Yeah.
By the time you're saying I'm picking up, you've changed.
Yes, you've grown.
There's
as
nothing
a
you're
person.
picking up.
Yeah.
You get.
Yeah.
So you really need to live through it and move on in life with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's something else that I loved around creating autonomy and agency for the person that you've now become, around creating new routines for yourself, about self-care in a way that makes sense to you, whether that looks like having a cup of coffee every evening, whether that looks like starting a new routine whereby you read a book every morning. I love the part about agency because I feel like that reconnects you to who you are.
Yes.
And that brings back the self-worth and it brings back the power to yourself that we were talking about earlier, because certain breakups had so much because not just of the rejection, but the power that we gave to this other person. And so when you build that autonomy, it just brings the power back to you. It centers you to know that I am enough, I am worthy, in spite. Yes.
You deserve good things. You deserve to feel nice. You deserve to feel loved. Those are other affirmations that you really need to really take note of, because when you break up with someone, for some reason they go away.
Yeah.
You don't remember how pretty you look. You don't remember how accomplished you are. For some weird reason, it's as if all those other aspects of your life go into the background, and the only thing that you're focusing on is this breakup, how it's making you feel.
Yeah.
I think we also need to really take note of the fact that we were other people before this person came into our lives.
Yes.
And we can still be other people after these people leave.
And taking the lessons with us.
Carry the lessons with you. Love has ended, it's fine. Carry the lessons with you. Let's move on with life.
Now, how do I make sure that I'm healing in the right way? Not to just heal because, as I said, I've been having conversations with different people this week. I feel I'm the kind of person who can even talk to a stranger if I want to get how people feel or people's perspective on certain things. Then I even talk to strangers. But this particular one, it was in the salon, and I was just having it with people doing their hair, my salonist, and we were having a conversation because I was like, I'm going to be talking about breakups. Can you people tell me how you experience breakups and how you're healing from them? And for certain people, it was Melvin. I cried. I wanted to kill myself. Like, I just wanted to die. And then, I'm like, why did you want to die? You'd rather kill the other person.
Yeah,
and
not you.
Not you.
Yeah.
You'd rather kill the other person.
Yeah.
And, for them, they're like, do you really think I wanted to die? I just wanted to make a statement. I just wanted to bring them back. But there was also another group where they were like, for me, that was the last day I ever wanted to love someone. That is the last day I'm going to give my 100%.
They become stone cold hearted.
Yes.
Yeah.
They go into a dark place where love, even if they go into love, they are loving and seeing. It's good to see red flags, but everything becomes a red flag. Everything stands out. Conflict is the center of the future relationships because I'm scared of getting hurt. Even before things happen in the relationship.
They are wired to respond to conflict way quicker.
I'm already taking a defensive position other than embracing love for what it is.
It is, yeah.
And for me to just give bigger context into that, it's because I love this particular saying where I love the way the bleeding effect is brought out in certain situations or in certain quotes. If you don't heal from what hurt you, you bleed on people who didn't cut you. So how do you make sure that you're healing in the right way? How do you make sure that you're putting yourself in that nice place where you're willing to embrace and experience love with healthier love?
Yes.
That is, yes.
This circles back to what I said earlier, where I said the bigger picture. You want to confirm your healing in the right way. Look at the bigger picture. Where does Melvin want to be 3 months from now? What type of life do I want to have 3 months from now?
Yes.
What type of person do I want to be? What type of, we usually call it's as if we get into a new era. There's a soft girl era. There's the purple girl era. I don't know,
Hardworking girl era.
Hardworking girl era. You go and make new braids, a new era has been unlocked. So the same thing.
Yes.
When you look at your life.
And make sure that it's for me. It's not for them.
Exactly.
It's not for my pictures on social media. Yeah.
You need to really look at your life and ask yourself, where do I want my life to be 3 months from now, 4 months from now? And that's what will affirm the type of healing that you're doing.
Yeah.
So if 3 months from now, you will still be back where you started from, yet you've been healing, then you're not healing.
Yeah.
You get? And healing in the right way requires a lot of honesty, a lot of accountability, and a lot of patience as well. I feel like we really, we rush to get the pain out. We're like, "Siniache kusikia hivi." Like, I want to stop feeling like this. Yes, but you can't. That's from inside.
Yeah.
You know, a wound, you can bandage it up, but when your heart is broken, it really creates a very sore part in your heart that you really need to give yourself patience and really need to give yourself grace. And I feel like, and I told this to a friend of mine, the fact that you're feeling pain from that breakup, it shows the extent at which you loved them. It really shows it. Because when you leave and you're okay and you've moved to the next person and you're okay, your life is all sunshine and rainbows.
Yes.
You know, you really, you need to feel it. So the fact that you are feeling it, it also speaks to the fact that you are in love in that relationship and you did put in effort.
Yes.
You poured in your heart out to that person. So that is also something that you can applaud yourself for. I feel like the ability to love someone to the fullest extent is an honor. It's something that you should be proud of. You should be proud of yourself, the fact that you are able to freely love someone, because there are people who have never had the opportunity to do that, and they may never get the opportunity to do that. So for the fact that you've been able to go to that extent, to the point that it is physically hurting you leaving this person, give yourself the grace and pat yourself on the back that I did good. I loved this person. We had our fuck-ups along the way, but in the end I loved this person, and at some point I was a part of their story. When they're talking to their future partner or their kids, they'll be like, I dated a girl 20 years ago by the name Melvin. She did XYZ. And when I was even getting out of my relationship, when I was in therapy, etc., my therapist told me this: you've become very patient. I'm not a patient person, by the way. I'm not a patient person. Okay. And I think it also comes with the territory of owning a company. I'm usually like, I need things moving, guys.
Yes.
So
you need to move
I need to move.
Yeah.
Like, work needs to be done. Let's move to the next thing.
Yes.
I'm barely a patient person, but that relationship made me very patient. I became a very patient. Right? And I learned how to deal with conflict, not only in that relationship, but also in my other relationships.
Yeah.
I remember at home, when something wrong would happen, I would blow a tantrum.
Yeah.
I'd call my mom, I call everyone, come, let's talk about it. But right now, something will happen in the house and I'll be like, okay, I'll sit with it. I'll internalize it. I'll come up with a solution. I've grown. I learned a lot of things out of that relationship. I grew professionally. I grew as a person. Those are
So
things
it
that you
wasn't
can
just
take
the
out.
pain that you got out of the relationship, there was actual growth.
Exactly.
There was tangible
Focus
growth.
on those. Focus on the fact that
Yeah.
you grew out of it. I was listening I was reading a post where someone was saying the way he went to Taiwan because of a lady that he met back in college. So he uprooted his life, and out of nowhere the lady ended the relationship.
Yeah.
But then sitting back with himself 1 year down the line, he was like, I learned a new language. I explored a new city. I met new people.
Yes.
Why do we always focus on the bad? Let's also sit down and focus on the good that we got out of that relationship. You learned new things. You grew as a person. You met new people. You might have closed 1, 2, 3 deals in that relationship.
Yeah.
Let's focus on those. Let's focus on the optimistic side of how the relationship ended. I got something out of it. Yeah.
Okay. I love the fact that you said that, because it's not just bad things that we get out of relationships.
Yeah.
We do get actual
Very, very
and
good
tangible
things.
growth out of certain relationships.
Yeah.
And that's why love can be such a beautiful thing. And the fact that you said getting to love someone is such an honor.
It is
I've
an
never
honor.
looked at it that
It is an
way.
honor.
It's getting
I
to
genuinely-
experience you.
Exactly.
Yes.
You get to, and then you get to grow with someone in all the seasons of their lives.
Yeah.
In the 2 years I was in that relationship, looking back in hindsight, I am so proud to have been in that relationship, because I saw someone grow.
Yeah.
I saw someone transition. They were in uni, they graduated. That was a big thing. They were going through something in their life. They got through it, and I was there to experience that. I was going through different phases of my life. I was in A-levels, I finished, I started my company.
Yes.
It grew. I got to experience life with someone else. Very many people don't get to do that. So taking the opportunity to also acknowledge the fact and honor the fact that you've been able to share love with someone else, that's a very big honor that we need to really take accountability on as well.
I'm grateful that you said that, and for the fact that you mentioned that we can have tangible good things that stemmed out of a relationship. But then you also need to look at the other side of the coin, whereby a relationship could have been terrible. I was this person, they were bad to me, they didn't treat me right, they killed my social circles, they didn't allow me to express myself, I wasn't allowed to address conflict. And so how do you learn to trust yourself after such a relationship? How do you take accountability for the part that you played in that particular relationship? Because I feel like with every breakup, there's accountability. There's a role that you played in how that relationship panned out. Yes, and the journey and the path and everything that shaped that relationship. And so how do I learn to trust myself and embrace new love, good love that brings good things to me, that allows me to thrive even after a bad relationship? And one that is not just superficial, it's not toxic in the modern way of toxicity, in the sense that maybe it was just material. And I'm not dismissing, I'm not belittling anything, but how do I move on and learn to trust myself after a truly bad experience with love?
That really takes time to really trust yourself and to put in the work to really understand the boundaries that need to be set. And a lot of self-worth work needs to be done, because I find being in quote-unquote toxic relationships is a situation where either worth is not being validated, and a lot of you're in a situation where your boundaries are not really firm, because there are some things as human beings you shouldn't tolerate, but you've tolerated it. Why? There's some boundaries that were not set, were not adhered to, were not met, so it really takes time and patience to really grow within that kind of experience. And it really takes time to really trust even another human being. But one thing we should all note is we're all human beings. None of us are perfect. Some are worse than others.
No, it's true.
Some are worse than others, but
yes.
none of us are perfect. So really give each other grace to let people not necessarily let people make mistakes, but let people grow from their own mistakes. And I see that because we, as human beings, and it's normal, we are always quick to judge people's mistakes.
Yes.
You did this, you did this, you did this, you did this wrong. Have you ever sat down and asked yourself, what did I do wrong?
What part did I have to play in that?
You get. So let's also give each other grace and realize that maybe they didn't know better. And that doesn't negate you stepping back. It's that situation of forgive but don't forget. So it's the same thing. Give them grace, understand that they fell short somewhere, but that don't necessarily give them leeway to just continue. You get? Yeah, so it really takes time to heal and really piecing one and one to really understand that this is the part that I played. This is the thing that I tolerated. This is what I will not be tolerating. You know, this is where I did not communicate about my boundaries. This is where I did not communicate about my expectations. This is where I did not do X, Y, Z. It doesn't serve as an excuse to their actions, but as well, it doesn't negate what you feel. It actually puts in more emphasis on what you feel at the moment and what work that needs to be done. Yeah.
I love that. And the fact that I also think, just to add on to that, is that it makes you a better person. In the sense that in future, you're able to identify certain patterns and trust your instincts about certain things.
When it tells you to live, you
and
live.
When you heal from a healthy place, you don't just pick up the first thing and blow up the earth with that particular thing. You're able to actually identify, these are the triggers, this is what leads to certain actions, and be able to decipher that and grow as a human being from that. All right. So as we wrap up, one final question for all CSA guests. What is the one unique lesson that your love journey has taught you?
Oh, I said it. Patience.
Oh, wow.
For me, it's patience. Like, patience was a really, really key thing in understanding my partner. And that is because my brain runs at a speed of 1,000 kilometers an hour. My brain, my emotions, my life, everything is always at an all-time high.
Actually, let me tell you something funny about human psychology. If you were to change your career today, that would actually change.
Yes, I was told that as well. If you change your career, that changes with the environment that you're in.
Or even the dynamic within your organization. Yes.
So it really... Patience was a very key lesson for me because there are some things that I rushed that I shouldn't have. There's some things that I asked for early. There are some things that I pushed for that I could have just given it time. And patience was a very key thing. Even right now where I'm standing at the moment, when I look at the relationship in hindsight, I'm usually like, damn, I pushed that for what? It could have had its own time. You get? So patience was a very key moment because patience it makes the other person feel safe, feel understood, feel validated, feel calm in your presence. And I learned that the hard way. And for me, it's patience. Patience. Just be patient with people.
So just one final question. I know I said that's the final question, but with regards to patience, how do you differentiate between patience and what we ladies like to call kustak makaratas? Kutaka evidence. Before I leave a relationship.
No, for me, you see, that kupanga makaratasi is you're stacking mistakes to leave. For me, patience is you're being patient with your person for them to feel more seen, loved, appreciated. And, for me, patience is in the form of I am being patient with my partner for them to grow, for them to feel what they're feeling, for them to come to me and express what they're feeling, for us to blend in together, not to rush things that they're not ready for.
Yeah.
You know, for young people who are growing up, be patient with your girlfriend when she says, I don't want to engage in sexual intercourse at the moment. Be patient. It will get to a point where she'll feel ready and it will be worth it.
It's going to feel amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, there's some levels where you're like, why was I rushing for that? I could have just waited. So my point is, it's patience for the betterment of the relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming into the CSA community.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing your insights and knowledge and experiences with us. It's been a lovely episode. I've loved having you on the show. And I cannot wait to see what you do with your life.
Thank you.
Because you're truly incredible.
Thank you. Lovely meeting you.
All right. And it's a wrap. To everyone that watched today's episode, it's been an absolute honor having you on the show. Now, if you love the content, please like, share, and subscribe, because your engagement, when you give us feedback, when you interact with us, this is what keeps us going. And for me, honestly, from today's episode, the greatest lesson is that pain sometimes is progress. And this is something I actually got from one of the guest videos on their TikTok. Pain sometimes can be progress. And when it comes to love, it's not just about setting your heart to cold stone. It's about being able to move on with healthier boundaries, loving more, because loving someone is an honor. Thank you. This is Cloud Stories Africa. To all our consistent listeners, we're super, super grateful. To anyone who's new and you liked the content, please like, share, and subscribe. New episodes drop every Saturday.